Hello guys, and welcome to another tutorial, alright, or another design review, not tutorial really. So I'll be breaking down this design according to the layers, alright, and we get to see what is going on around this particular design, alright, and why it looks this way. So here are my layers, and I would be shutting them out and reintroducing you to them the way they are arranged. Right, another disclaimer I tell my students is that this arrangement of layers is definitely not the way I started out the design or I ended out the design. It's just an arrangement according to how the placements are on the design. Right, so that's it. So when I got this stuff, I told a friend of mine, okay, I see your wedding and I want to support you, so one of the ways I can is to actually design your e-flyer for you, and possibly your merch or jota or whatever it is you want to do, or whatever branding you want to do. Right, it's basically my own way of saying I see you and thanks for the support, especially for a returning clients like this. Right, so when she sent me the design, I went through. When she sent me her wedding IV brief, I went through it and I was like, okay, wow. So basically I was looking to go for a garden type kind of wedding feel. All right, so it would need so much flowers and all of that. So I went on Free Pick, I went on Splash, and I went on pixels.com to look for pictures, and I found a couple of them which I actually used in this project. So the first one I found was this particular one. All right, so the prompt I typed in was garden or garden house or flowers, or yeah, basically just garden. Right, so and I found this very nice stuff. So basically the whole stuff had so much details with the trees and this whole stuff and the leaves and all of that with different colors. So I didn't need all of that detail in the design I was doing, because it was actually not what the intent is. All right, it's just the intent is basically just for background sake. All right, so what I did was I first of all applied the Gaussian blur on it. So how do I apply Gaussian blur? Click on the layer you want to apply the blur, come to filter, come to blur, then you go to Gaussian blur. All right, under Gaussian blur you see the different radii or different radius for you to play with. All right, so you can zoom this out and you get to see what you have and get to see where you're going or what you're gunning for. So also preview here. All right, so depending on what you need. All right, so I apply the Gaussian blur over this to blur it out a little bit. All right, so it's not in focus like that. So next thing I added was another layer of flowers. All right, so this is like there's a word for this particular stuff. I'm trying to remember, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's just like place where the culture of flowers and all of that. So horticulturist and all of that will definitely know what it's called. I'm trying to remember the name. It's more like a dome for flowers or for crops and all of that, where they get to groom it. If I remember before the end of the story, I'll let you guys know. So I had to blend this particular one over this one under, because after getting this I just said, okay, probably I could use this walkway out of the first one and just keep this particular flower thingy up here. So it was just a trial and error thingy, and that's the beautiful thing about design. All right, there's no fail safe to say, okay, this is what the final outcome will look like. 90% of the time you already have a mental image in your head, but it comes out differently because you get to experiment. All right, design is experimental. It's not just a one size fits all thingy. You experiment daily. You get to know, okay, this is what works and this is what doesn't work. All right, so that's just practically what design is too. All right, so if this works, okay, fine. If this doesn't work, okay, fine, we move on. All right, so I added a hue and saturation over it because I wanted it to blend with the one behind it. All right, so the hue and saturation is not really doing much. Yeah, it's not really doing much as it should. Okay, so but it's just there. I think I added it for some reason. I think I added it there for some reason. All right, then I added a gradient fill over this particular stuff. All right, so how do I add a gradient fill? Come here to this adjustment layer panel, click on it, then you see gradients. All right, there are two different stuff. There's gradient map and there's gradient. This gradient map and this gradient. So I added this gradient. All right, so gradient fill. All right, to give me this bluish thingy. So under gradient fill, you see the place where you can get to change colors. So I got this. I changed the color because the color, part of the color for the wedding was what do you call it, green, and her dress had so much of green. So I just picked two different hues of green. All right, then that is basically nothing much I did here. Make sure the style is on linear. Okay, then what I did was to change the blend mode. Right, this is the way it would normally be. All right, but I changed the blend mode to soft light. All right, because that enables me add some form of color grade from the gradient and also keep the details of my pictures. All right, so after that I added a rectangle. Not that I added a rectangle, but this rectangle was part of, I think I added this rectangle at the tail end of the design, at the tail end of the design. So it's not even more of a rectangle, it's more like an outline. All right, so this is an outline, and so this bent corner here, okay, let me just run it down, okay, and just show you guys. So once you click on this, you see the parameters here, fill stroke. So I needed nothing on this stroke, and I needed the fill to be this particular color. All right, so I chose the color. Then what I did was I came here, I drew this. All right, I drew a rectangle. So you notice that you have option on the edges to be round. All right, so I just came here and clicked because I wanted all of them to be the same. So I came here, click on the edges. So you notice that the edges are now round. All right, if you look well, you notice the edges are round. All right, so the next thing I did was to transform it. All right, I'm trying to explain how I got this to transform it. So I click on Ctrl T or Command T for those using the Mac. Hold. All right, then I'll right click. Once I right click, I'll see WAP. So this is what I'm looking for, WAP. All right, click on it. It brings up this different anchor points. So what I just do, I just bring this down. All right, bring this down. All right, so I now have till I have something like that. So this is it. All right, this is as I achieved this. Okay, so let me delete this. Back to what we're doing. So I kept on doing what I was doing. I added some levels adjustment layer to the whole thing because at the end these pictures needed to come in. All right, so I did curves adjustment layer to make it to make the background backgroundy, because you need your background to not overshadow your foreground. Things on your foreground are the things that people need to see. Things on the background are things that are elements that just help to give support to the design. So your foreground should always be the style of the show, not your background. So once your background has too much or so much light in it, then it's actually not doing what it's meant to do. Right, but if it has so much light, let it be that the light is actually helping to project the foreground better. Right, so I have my image. Right, I treated this image with camera raw. Right, if you notice the greens on her dress. Right, treat this image with camera raw. All right, if you need to learn how to do that, you can go up on my YouTube channel. You see my tutorial on how I edit my pictures. Right, then you can learn from there. Right, so I have this light from behind them. All right, I have this light from behind them to give this kind of light feel. All right, like there's actually a light coming from this window and all of that's giving it something behind here. Right, so it doesn't even make sense now I'm explaining it, but you get the check. All right, so it's something we do as designers just find a source of light and just place somewhere, right? But in the reality of it, I would have used the light from this whole stuff to project that. But I think some way somehow there was something that countered that idea, right? So then I have the curves adjustment layer over their faces to give a level of depth. All right, this is what my curves adjustment layer looks like. So I just reduce the highlights a little bit. All right, so the thing about the curves adjustment layer is it works from both shadows and highlights. So this here is on this left side is your shadows, on this right side is your highlights. All right, it's basically like that on every parameter. Left side will always have your shadows, right side will always have your highlights. Right, so the highlights are those bright places on the designs that you can enhance. All right, then the shadows are those dark places you can also tweak and all of that. You get? So let me not mess up this stuff. All right, so yeah, I have that over there. Then I needed to give the details of the wedding somewhere here. So what I did was to add a gradient. All right, so I added a gradient. This one is different from gradients this thing I added initially. So I added the gradients here. All right, this is the gradient I used. All right, so I added the gradient. I didn't need the gradient to get to the, because if I add your grade if you add your gradients, this is what it gives you. So you notice it's crunching up on her face. Look, you have part of the gradients on her face and his face and her body, so you not really get the better feel of the clothes or the image. So I needed to max that out. So what did I do? I came to the particular gradient. All right, created a mask over a layer mask over it, then took my brush, made sure my foreground here is set to black and my background is set to white because I'm painting on a white canvas. Then I came and I cleaned off. That's why you have this. All right, cleaned off, and you have their face now out. At least that was what we actually need. So next I started adding lights and all of that to make the face and all of that part pop. All right, I added this light sometime later sha. So then the text and all of that started coming in. The text I was using basically is Transcend. I love using Transcend for wedding designs because it's a serif font that gives this form of elegance. It's not really serif. I think Transcend can also position as sans serif too, but it gives this elegance and luxury to your wedding designs. Right, so I have this their theme, you glow, and if you notice there's a glow on this particular stuff. So it's cliche, but it worked. You would not really notice it, but it's there. So how do I add a glow to effect to any layer? I just double click. Once you double click, it brings up the layer style panel. Then you see outer glow. In case you don't have the outer glow here, you can come down to this FX is just like effect, right? Then you see outer glow. All right, all these things are effects that are not added here. So if I click on any of them, it adds them automatically here. Right, so you see outer glow is not selected because it's already in effect here. So I come to my outer glow. I basically tweaked the color, all right, to make sure it is in what you call it, in agreement with the colors here. So it's definitely green, so I'll choose a light green because it's a glow effect I'm going for. So if it is a shadow effect, I would have chosen like a darker green, for shadow, so that it rhymes with the design. Right, so I chose a hue of green that is light, all right, for that effect. All right, then increase the size, change the range, played with these parameters, basically the opacity, make sure my blend mode is screen. All right, make sure my blend mode is screen, all of that. So anytime you're working with light, anytime you're working with light in Photoshop, you'll be working basically with this set of blend modes that help to achieve lighting, screen, color dodge, linear dodge, or light color. This stuff helps you work so much with lighting or lightning effects on Photoshop. It just typically removes the blacks and leaves the whites. All right, so okay, then all of that stuffs I kept on adding. Change this color to a hue of lemon, think lemon green. Then the dates, all of this still the same font. All right, still the same font. Church venue, all right, still the same font. Okay, I think this is now the branding itself. So this is Gloria Words Ugochukwu. Alright, so you notice it still has the glow effect on it. Alright, so it still has the glow effect on it. So I grouped the Gloria Words Ugochukwu. Alright, so it has both the glow and the drop shadow. So this is what it looks like without those effects. Gloria Words Ugochukwu. So you notice that from a distance you might not be actually might not be actually able to see it the way you need to see it. So I needed to now add a glow effect, right, and also a shadow. All right, so that part of the what do you call it, the design is seen well. So back to the fact that I didn't use light from this place is because of this text that was going to be here. All right, it would imagine there was light coming from this place. Now how would you read this Gloria Where's Gochoko? And this particular place, there's no other color that would have fit in perfectly aside from white. No other color would have made more sense. All right, so then you have the reception venue. Then what else again did I add? Then this what do you call it, rectangle outline. All right, just the way we did that other rectangle outline, and the way I explained on how to cut out things. Do you understand? With your rectangular marquee tool, you just come click and drag to where it wants to start and stop, then make a mask over it. All right, so just very simple stuff. Okay, then next thing I added was, I think, this layer at the top. Yeah, my logo. That's this. All right, so that's all about this design. Very, very simple stuff, and we are good. You know, just basically good composition, good lighting, arrangement and alignment, and you're all for that. So thanks for your time in this review, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.